All right, greetings from the dark continent. Conscious Caracal here, or Adams Fun Sale, here to shine a light on the goings on down south. And yeah, it's been a while. I didn't check now when my last stream was, but it's I think at least a few weeks ago. Yeah, a lot's happened in the meantime. I haven't been absent in regards to streaming for a bad reason, for all the best of reasons. Actually, I got married in the meantime between the last stream and now. They're in the beautiful Magubas Kloof in the Limpopo province, to the love of my life. And yeah, if it's not evident enough. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. During that weekend when I got married, some of my subscribers also did a little bit of a push where they posted on social media that people needed to get me to 10,000 subscribers as a wedding present, seeing as I was only a few dozen away. Really appreciate it. That was very nice. And yeah, we did it. I can't remember exactly when it happened. I didn't see it happen, but it was probably during that time. Could have been during that weekend as well. I wasn't on social media, so I wasn't watching or checking. Um, yeah, welcome everyone. It's a big milestone. It's it's only important to me in the sentimental sense of I like seeing where my channel's going, what it has reached, and what I've achieved. And but it's it's just I like the little sentimentality of milestones. I like the little progress indicators of a platform or a channel or anything growing and developing and evolving. And this is just one of those little things. So tonight's not about bragging or really even celebration to a large extent. I just like marking the occasion. I'm just, just the type of person that I am. And yeah, I always, as you know, with these types of milestone episodes, I usually read one of my favorite essays or texts or opinion pieces. I think we've had a 100 episodes of Stream of Consciousness milestone episode, and I've also had a 500,000 total views episode as well. So this is my third milestone episode. Let's see. I see Vingles in the chat. Goeienaand. Good evening, everyone. Sideline Opinions is here. He was one of the subscribers that actually did that little campaign to get me to 10,000 subscribers on my wedding weekend. Dave is here. No, secondly, the 10,000 subscribers milestone pales in comparison to to getting married, but it's a nice little milestone nonetheless. Goeienaand, Dylan. Yiz is in the chat. Good evening, Yiz. I'm just going through a little bit of the chat here before we jump in to what we'll be reading here tonight. Buzz Lightyear is here. Sideline Opinion says, yes, you hit 10,000 on your wedding weekend. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. If God blesses me, Dave, that would make me very happy. Oh, well, thank you, Dylan. I really try my best. This is just my hobby, like I always say. I enjoy doing this, and I've never felt like it's a chore to do these live streams, but it's really my hobby. So I do my best to inform people, shine a light. It's going to relate to tonight's theme. Thank you very much. Goeienaand, Nick. Lekker om te sien jy skakel in. All right. So tonight's theme, or maybe just a little bit of context, this channel was started in 2016 as a little once-off thing, believe it or not. People always say, well, what was your plan? What were you thinking? What were you plotting? And I always, when you started this channel, how did you choose the username or whatever? I always tell them that it was a once-off thing. I think I've told the story on here and maybe on some other platforms, a brief version of it. So there was in 2016, there was a terrorist attack in the UK. I think it was the Manchester bombing, if I remember correctly. I was just browsing social media, particularly Twitter, on another account at that time. I just had a little football account at that time. And I just saw all of this political misinformation, propaganda, and just horrible takes. And at the time, I just thought, well, damn, if I was frustrated that nobody was the thoughts that I was having, the debates that I was having in my own mind with these uninformed, ideologically possessed people. I saw nobody voicing that opinion. I saw nobody taking the stances that I was debating in my head. So I thought, well, to put this to bed, or just to give me some peace of mind, I'm going to create one video. It's not going to be a massive thing. I'm just going to upload it and take on some of these arguments that I'm seeing. And yeah, I then I made the video, and I made my little Twitter account just for a burner account to promote this video and to reply under these propaganda tweets with my video, and then later I'll delete my Twitter account. And yeah, it was Conscious Caracal from the start, but it was a username I thought up in like a few seconds. It's like, well, my one of my nicknames in high school was Roekat, which means it's a caracal, because I've read in my beard. And then I'm like, well, I'm a alliteration enjoyer, appreciator. So I was like, well, conscious, that'll work. Conscious Caracal, let's go. And the username wasn't important. It's the burner account. And yeah, here we are, 10,000 subscribers later. Strange how life works, and strange the paths that God sends you on, the opportunities that he sends into your life. Strange things that happen that put you on the path to where you end up. So tonight's theme is Live Not by Lies. It's the title of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Soviet dissident writer. It's the title of his text. Hot take: don't tell lies. Hot take: be honest. I mean, yeah, tonight's not going to be a hot take stream. It's really about, I want to read a text that I think is very pertinent and relevant to our time. And even though the message is pretty clear cut, I think it's something that it's worth repeating. As I've said many times on this channel, I will continue repeating the basics until they sink in. I'm sorry for people that get tired of me repeating the basics. Until more people, until it starts sinking in more, I will continue repeating the basics, because if the basics don't catch on, you can forget about the more complex stuff. So this whole idea of being dedicated to not telling lies and not living by lies, it's just something very personal to me. It's the way I was raised by my parents. It's one of the things that you should not distort reality. You should not lie. You should not spread false propaganda. And it's a message that I think it still needs to resonate more, and more people need to hear that. It might give you short-term gain to lie, to spread propaganda, but in the long term, it will come like a deal with the devil. It will come back to fetch its due. And yeah, the two virtues that really, the only virtue that I value more or add more weight to than honesty is courage. And I think, but to be honest, because to be honest, you need to be courageous. And I think that's where I'm coming from with my choice here tonight, with tonight's text, Live Not by Lies by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And I'm just going to give the chat a little bit more attention before we get into it. François van der Westhuizen says, Adams, my ma Ellen het daai prent agter jou geverf. François, dis heel moontlik. Dit was 'n geskenk van my pa. Hy het dit by een of ander markie gekoop. So dis heel moontlik. Ek sal vir hom moet vra. Maar ja, dit is 'n ongelooflike storie. Baie dankie vir daai klein stukkie agtergrond. Dave says you're glowing. Well, I'm not pregnant. Just married. Well, thank you very much, Dave. It is very nice. Keanu with some beer there. Dave, not almal. So I know opinions is Adam's check François' post about painting. Yeah, I did check. Very cool. Yeah, Bengal rooi cat. Yeah, it's a red cat. It's a type of wild cat that you find here in southern Africa, and I think you find it in across Africa as well. Um, yeah, Artie Panda is here. Good evening. Well, one of my loyal subscribers, always here for a show. Thank you very much for tuning in. You've been here for a very long time. You've seen me grow from pretty small until now. Thank you very much as well for that. Um, let's see. So one more thing I'll read before we start reading the text. Sideline Opinion says, truth has no special time of its own. It's ours now, always and indeed the most, always and indeed then most truly, when it seems most unsuitable to actual circumstances. Albert Schweitzer. All right. I think with that quote, let's get into tonight's reading. So, if you just give me 1 second to get my presentation here. Right. Let's make it a little bit more cozy. There we go. Perfect. All right. Let's get into it. This is published on the Alexander Solzhenitsyn Center. There's a link in the description if you want to go read for yourself or share it or use it as a source. Live not by lies. On the day Solzhenitsyn was arrested, February 12th, 1974, he released the text of Live Not by Lies. The next day, he was exiled to the West, where he received a hero's welcome. This moment marks the peak of his fame. Solzhenitsyn equates lies with ideology, the illusion that human nature and society can be reshaped to predetermined specifications. And his last word before leaving his homeland urges Soviet citizens as individuals to refrain from cooperating with the regime's lies. Even the most timid can take this least demanding step towards spiritual independence. If many march together on this path of passive resistance, the whole inhuman system will totter and collapse. That's by Edward E. Erickson Jr. and Daniel J. Mahoney, the Solzhenitsyn reader. So now it starts. The text, Live Not by Lies, 1974, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. There was a time when we dared not rustle a whisper, but now we write and read Simmersdat and congregating in the smoking rooms of research institutes, he heartily complain to each other of all they are mudding up, of all they are dragging us into. There's that unnecessary bravado around our ventures into space against the backdrop of ruin and poverty at home, and the buttressing of distant savage regimes and the kindling of civil wars, and the ill thought out cultivation of Mao Zedong at our expense to boot, in the end, will be the ones sent out against them and will have to go. What other option will there be? And they put whomever they want on trial and brand the healthy as mentally ill, and it is always they, while we are helpless. We are approaching the brink. Already a universal spiritual demise is upon us. A physical one is about to flare up and engulf us and our children while we continue to smile sheepishly and babble. But what can we do to stop it? We haven't the strength. Context, remember, this is in 1974 in the Soviet Union. We have so hopelessly ceded our humanity that for the modest handouts of today, we are ready to surrender up all principles, our soul, all the labors of our ancestors, all the prospects of our descendants, anything to avoid disrupting our meager existence. We have lost our strength, our pride, our passion. We do not even fear a common nuclear death, do not fear a third world war. Perhaps we'll hide away in some crevice. But fear only to take a civil stance. We hope only not to stray from the herd, not to set out on our own and risk suddenly having to make do without the white bread, the hot water heater, a Moscow residency permit. So you'll start catching on very quickly why I chose this piece here tonight to read. I think a lot of you will see a lot of parallels with our situation today, whether that be in the Western world, in South Africa. Now, just to be very clear, I think it's hyperbolic to always just compare your current situation to the worst dictatorships or tyrannies of human history, um, especially the 20th century. But there are many things to learn, many parallels to learn, valuable perspectives to learn from the people that lived under those regimes. Just a little bit of chat here. Matt says Gulag Archipelago made me very sad to read. It's intense. Yeah, that's Solzhenitsyn's book. I haven't read it myself. It is here on the bookshelf behind me. Dave says so relevant to our time. And Be Smart says congratulations, Adams. Thank you very much. Let's continue. But just this theme here, I don't know if you can see when I highlight now. There we go. You can see this whole idea of even selling your principles for just these little comforts. I'm just going to read it again. We have so hopelessly seeded our humanity that for the modest handouts of today, we are ready to surrender up all principles, our soul, all the labors of our ancestors, all the prospects of our descendants, anything to avoid disrupting our meager existence. This whole idea of selling out the next generation, throwing your ancestors to the wolves just so that they don't bother you, that the authorities or the mob don't attack you. It's so prevalent in South Africa. I've seen so many people in South Africa willing to throw their ancestors on the altar just so they can be left alone in very strong quotation marks, because you're never going to be left alone. You don't apologize to people that don't believe in mercy. You don't apologize to people that don't believe in forgiveness. You don't apologize to people that will only use your apology as an admission of guilt. Anyway, let's continue. We have internalized well the lessons drummed up into us by the state. We are forever content and comfortable with its premise. We cannot escape the environment, the social conditions, they shape us. Being determines consciousness. But what have we to do with this? We can do nothing, but we can do everything, even if we comfort and lie to ourselves that this is not so. It is not they who are guilty of everything, but we ourselves, only we. Some will counter, but really, there's nothing to be done. Our mouths are gagged. No one listens to us. No one asks us. How can we make them listen to us? To make them reconsider is impossible. The natural thing would be to simply not re-elect them, but there are no re-elections in our country. In the West, they have strikes, protest marches, but we are too cowed, too scared. How does one just give up one's job, just go out into the street? Funny, in 1974, he writes about Solzhenitsyn uses the West as the shining example of where you can still strike and protest to bring about change. And now we've seen what the West has become. I mean, it would be very interesting to see what Solzhenitsyn would think about the West and the Western democracies in 2023. I think he would make many of the similar observations. You can only look at examples like the Canadian trucker protests, where the truckers had their bank accounts closed. You only have to look at anti-lockdown protests during the COVID pandemic and how they were treated and marginalized and ignored and villainized. There's so many examples in our own world today, in the Western world, that mirror what Solzhenitsyn is writing about, what he's seeing around him in 1974. Vingel says, what Solzhenitsyn says here is very similar to what Leon Degrelle writes in The Burning Souls. Read it in one sitting last night. Very good. Well, I'll have to check it out. All right, let's continue. Wait, I was just mixing up my tabs there a little bit. All the other fateful means resorted to over the last century of Russia's bitter history are even less fitting for us today. True, let's not fall back on them. Today, when all the axes have hewn what they hacked, when all that was sown has borne fruit, we can see how lost, how drugged were those conceited youths who sought, through terror, bloody uprising, and civil war, to make the country just and content. No, thank you, fathers of enlightenment. We now know that the vileness of the means begets the vileness of the result. Let our hands be clean. Reminds me of that quote from Aldous Huxley, where he said that the ends cannot possibly justify the means because the means employed determine the nature of the ends produced. And I do believe that. You can't just ignore the means. The means that you employ to get your ends are critical because they will influence in either a positive or a negative way. They either taint or virtue or imbue a virtue your ends. It's very important, the means that you use. Let's continue. So has the circle closed? So is there indeed no way out? So the only thing left to do is wait inertly. What if something just happens by itself? But it will never come unstuck by itself. If we all every day continue to acknowledge, glorify, and strengthen it, if we do not at the least recoil from its most vulnerable point, from lies. When violence bursts into the peaceful human condition, its face is flushed with self-assurance. It displays on its banner and proclaims, I am violence. Make way, step aside, I will crush you. But violence ages swiftly. A few years pass and it is no longer sure of itself. To prop itself up, to appear decent, it will without fail call forth its ally, lies. For violence has nothing to cover itself but with lies, and lies can only persist through violence. And it is not every day and not on every shoulder that violence brings down its heavy hand. It demands of us only a submission to lies, a daily participation in deceit, and this suffices as our fealty. Again, let's see here. Is there a little bit of buffering? I hope it doesn't. Hope the stream is all right. Just let me know in the chat if things are still going well. I see there's a little bit of buffering from people saying. Dave says YouTube buffering it can't handle the truth. Well, I hope that's I hope it's the power of the truth that's causing the problem and not my third world internet connection. Just let me know in the chat if everything is still going well. I think it appears that everything is going well. I don't see anything here on my side that's giving problems, but let me know in the chat if something is off. I really appreciate it. All right, let's continue. And therein we find, neglected by us, the simplest, the most accessible key to our liberation, a personal non-participation in lies. Even if all is covered by lies, even if all is under their rule, let us resist in the smallest way. Let their rule hold not through me. And I see Be Smart says, it's better now. Great. Just it's getting to the heart of the text, so I hope we don't get any more buffering. And this is the way to break out of the imaginary encirclement of our inertness, the easiest way for us and the most devastating for the lies. For when people renounce lies, lies simply cease to exist. Like parasites, they can only survive when attached to a person. That's very important, the essence of how lies operate, how these vile ideologies around us propagate and survive. Cool. seems like things are great now. Pepe sells, but who's buying? Nice to see you here. All right. Let's continue. We are not called upon to step out into the square and shout out the truth, to say out loud that we think this is scary. We are not ready. But let us at least refuse to say what we do not think. Let's just repeat that. But let us at least refuse to say what we do not think. This is the way, then, the easiest and most accessible for us, given our deep-seated organic cowardice, but much easier than it's scary even to utter the words civil disobedience a la Gandhi. Our way must be never knowingly support lies. Having understood where the lies begin, and many see this line differently, step back from that gangrenous edge. Let us not glue back the flaking scales of the ideology, not gather back its crumbling bones, nor patch together its decomposing garb, and we will be amazed how swiftly and helplessly the lies will fall away, and that which is destined to be naked will be exposed as such to the world. And thus, overcoming our temerity, let each man choose. Will he remain a witting servant of the lies, needless to say, not due to natural predisposition, but in order to provide a living for his family, to rear the children in the spirit of lies? Or has the time come for him to stand straight as an honest man, worthy of the respect of his children and contemporaries, and from that day onward he will not write, sign, nor publish in any way a single line distorting, so far as he can see, the truth, will not utter such a line in a private or public conversation, nor read it from a crib sheet, nor speak it in the role of educator, canvasser, teacher, actor, will not in painting, sculpture, photography, technology, or music depict, support, or broadcast a single false thought, a single distortion of the truth as he discerns it, will not cite in writing or in speech a single guiding quote for gratification, insurance for his success at work, unless he fully shares the cited thought and believes that it fits the context properly, will not be forced to do a demonstration or rally if it turns counter to his desire and his will not take up and raise a banner or slogan in which he does not fully believe. That's very important. He will not be forced to a demonstration or a rally if it turns counter to his desire and his will not take up, and this is, I think, the most critical part. He will not take up and raise a banner or slogan in which he does not fully believe. That is how you stand up to lies. That is how that's how you live in a world of lies. Let your life be a resistance to lies and a revulsion in lies. He will not raise a hand and vote for a proposal which he does not sincerely support, will not vote openly in secret ballot for a candidate whom he deems dubious or unworthy, will not be and maybe just to say there, when it comes to voting, I don't buy this narrative of small parties waste your vote. No, you vote for the party that represents you. If you are, and I mean, there are many, even in my subscriber base, that do not think democracy is the avenue towards change. In regards to bringing about change, political parties are not that avenue. I myself do not view political parties as nearly the primary avenue of change or affecting reality. They do have an impact, though, and they do influence. Whoever wins an election does influence your reality and your life. But I do believe, I agree with Solzhenitsyn here, that if you take part in an election, you vote for the party that represents you. You do not just vote cynically for the party that you think will have the best chance of winning. You vote for the party that's the closest representation of you. He will not be impelled to a meeting where a forced and distorted discussion is expected to take place. He will at once walk out from a session, meeting, lecture, play, or film as soon as he hears the speaker utter a lie, ideological drivel, or shameless propaganda. He will not subscribe to nor buy in retail a newspaper or journal that distorts or hides the underlying facts. That's the end of the list of his prescriptions. Yeah, it seems like everything seems to be fine on the US side as well. Right. Hendo, nice to see you here. Yeah, is there some buffering? I'm very disappointed in that. Not much that I can do about that. Hopefully the end product of the stream doesn't reflect the buff. Um, yeah, on my side it seems fine, and that's speaking from South Africa. But yeah, there might be some hiccups going on. But Hendo, nice to see you here. Uh, Rare USW. All right, let's continue. I hope you're enjoying the text so far. It is absolutely one of my favorite. I wouldn't say an essay. It's a bit short to be called an essay, but it's one of my favorite pieces of writing. Solzhenitsyn continues. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the possible and necessary ways of evading lies, but he who begins to cleanse himself will, with a cleansed eye, easily discern yet other opportunities. Yes, at first it will not be fair. Someone will have to temporarily lose his job. For the young who seek to live by truth, this will at first severely complicate life. For their tests and quizzes too are stuffed with lies, and so choices will have to be made. But there is no loophole left for anyone who seeks to be honest. Not even for a day, not even in the safest technical occupations can he avoid even a single one of the listed choices to be made in favor of either truth or lies, in favor of spiritual independence or spiritual servility. As for him who lacks the courage to defend even his own soul, let him not brag of his progressive views, boast of his status as an academic. I've never encountered this word. Boast of his status as an academician, academic, maybe that's probably a strange translation. I think he means the translator probably means academic, but anyway, or a recognized artist, a distinguished citizen or general. Let him say to himself plainly, this is powerful: I am cattle, I am a coward, I seek only warmth and to eat my fill. I really want to repeat that. We need to not only not live by lies and propagate lies, but also hold those that do propagate lies to this standard. I'm going to read it again from here. And as for him who lacks the courage to defend even his soul, let him not brag of his progressive views, boast of his status as an academic or a recognized artist, a distinguished citizen or general. Let him say to himself plainly, I am cattle, I am a coward, I seek only warmth and to eat my fill. For us who have grown, stayed over time, even this most moderate path of resistance will not, well, there's a little bit of a text issue there, will not be easy to set out upon. But how much easier it is than self immolation or even a hunger strike. Flames will not engulf your body, your eyes will not pop out from the heat, and your family will always have at least a piece of black bread to wash down with a glass of clear water. Betrayed and deceived by us, do not a great European people, the Czechoslovaks, show us how one can stand down the tanks with bared chest alone, as long as inside beats a worthy heart? It will not be an easy path, perhaps, but it is the easiest among those that lie before us. Not an easy choice for the body, but the only one for the soul. That's very good. No, not an easy path. But then we already have among us people, dozens even, who have for years abided by all these rules, who live by the truth. And so we need not be the first to set out on this path. Ours is but to join. The more of us set out together, the thicker our ranks, the easier and shorter will this path be for us all. If we become thousands, they will not cope. They will be unable to touch us, but we will grow to tens of thousands. We will not recognize our country. But if we shrink away, then let us cease complaining to someone that someone does not let us draw breath. We do it to ourselves. Let us then cower and hunker down while our comrades, the biologists, bring closer the day when our thoughts can be read and our genes altered. 1974, Solzhenitsyn is writing this. Very, very interesting stuff. Let me just read that again. But if we shrink away, then let us cease complaining that someone does not let us draw breath. We do it to ourselves. Let us then cower and hunker down while our comrades, the biologists, bring closer the day when our thoughts can be read and our genes altered. And if from this also we shrink away, then we are worthless, hopeless. And it is of us that Pushkin asks with scorn, why offer herds their liberation, their heritage each generation, the yoke with jingles and the whip? February 12th, 1974. That's it. That's a text that for me has influenced my conduct and my worldview quite a bit. And yeah, I'm glad I'm glad I can share it with you. Dave gave a quote here. He says, "And second, the courage to follow his faint light wherever it may lead." Karl von Clausewitz. Sideliner opinion says liberalism tolerates protests as long as it demands more liberalism. As soon as protests demand more conservatism, then protests are banned and called populism. All right, let me just close this. Stop sharing. Oh, that's not right. That's better. Okay. Let's see here. We still have time. So if you have any questions or anything you guys want to talk about, you can put it in the chat now. I'm just going to check what you guys have been saying so I've been reading. Sideliner opinion shared another quote here. He says, the pathway from imperfect to perfect recognized truth leads through the valley of reality. Vingle says, academician is a word. Not sure what good it does, though. You can see with my little stumbling there, it's not part of, I've never encountered it, except in this essay, of course. It's but yeah, it seemed maybe, is there a difference? Can someone look it up? Is there a difference between an academician and an academic? Matt to the rescue says yes. It's an older adjective describing generally a range of different academics, lecturer, scholar, writer, researcher. All right, cool. It's not the first word that I've added to my vocabulary while doing a live stream. The other word English first language people are going to find this funny was the word domicile, like your home or the place that you live. I was doing a stream and someone mentioned my domicile. I'm like, what's that? I don't know what that is. And then the chat educated me. Right. Sideline Opinions dropping the quotes here tonight. He says, go not abroad, retire into thyself, for truth dwells in the inner man, St. Augustine. Right. Matt says, it often takes courage to tell the truth. Therefore, perhaps a liar is ultimately a coward, and cowards are easier to control. Absolutely. Yeah, this is another fascinating, great quote from Solzhenitsyn that Dave is sharing here. Simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. One word of truth outweighs the world. Yeah, there's that other quote about lies from Solzhenitsyn as well. It's not in this essay particularly specifically where he says Let the lie come into the world. Let it even triumph, but not through. Excuse me. Let the lie come into the world. Let it even triumph, but not through me. Um, Thank you very much, Pepe Souls, but who's buying. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I could share this text with you, with the audience. Well, I have no ambitions to become a politician, but thank you very much, Roosters. Ja, straight from the rooftop of my domicile. Ja, 'n blyplek. Dis ook ja, dis hoe ek dit ook verstaan het en staying place. The place that I stay. Oh, well, there's another great outcome. My vocabulary got a boost tonight, says Nick. Well, uh, Brulam says, I don't think that's how you pronounce it. Brulaham says, congrats to you both newlyweds. Hope you have a fantastic time. Yes, it was a fantastic wedding. Everything was perfect. It really, some strange stuff happened that made it actually quite perfect. I felt God's presence. Let me just put it that way. Whoop. Another Jay says, "I've read Live Not by Lies. It's good. Yes, it's a short little text that you read it. Like I said, now as you've seen, now you read it in a few minutes, and it's really good." Wingle says, "I have a book called Solzhenitsyn and the Right. Haven't read it yet. Should be interesting. Well, I'll check it out." Dave says, "No more super chats." No, there was at a time, but then many people always ask about it. I just don't feel it's worth it when my chat moves at a speed where I can read everyone's chats. So it doesn't feel to me fair that people that give me money, they chats, they don't get anything from it. So I've told my audience that when my chat, if it ever reaches that point where I struggle to keep up with the chat, where it's too fast, then I'll reinstate super chats. So then actually people that donate get something from it. Otherwise, you don't get anything. I read everyone's comments. I'm not going to give special treatment to super chats when I can easily read everyone's chats. But thank you, Dave. Yes, that's where we're at currently. He says, I have to head out now, but congratulations again, Caracol. God bless you and AfriForum. Thank you very much. Yes, have a blessed day. And then she ends up with keep heart, everyone. All right. I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for, I know some of you have been here since the start, since I had a handful of subscribers, a few hundred. So thank you very much for joining me here for this milestone episode. I think it's episode 162 of Stream of Consciousness. My channel started in 2016, but I've only been streaming since I think 2018, maybe 2017. I can't remember. There's a very old stream on my channel. It's a clip uploaded from a stream where Sargon was on it, and Count Dankula as well, and the Britisher. And you can hear I'm still in university there. Wow. All right. Thank you very much, Dave. Who said, well, I'll like and share in that case. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks also to everyone that shares all my content on social media or wherever you share it, friends and family, whatever. I really appreciate it. You've played a large role in getting my channel here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Sideline opinion says, why do politicians have a license to lie? Well, you know the old joke. What does a politician do when he's tired? He lies in bed. All right, guys. I think that's where I'm going to end it. I hope you have an excellent rest of the evening, rest of the week. Stay safe this weekend. Do something productive. Build, plant, create. Do something in the real world over the weekend. Even if it's a small little project, even if it's a small little victory for yourself. 6 years back, Matt, 2016, when I started the channel, is 6 years back. So that no, that's 7 years back that no. I'm very bad at math. It is 6 years back. 6 years back, I started. No, it's 7 years back, man. Oh man, it is 7 years back. Yeah, 7 years back, I started the channel, and about 6 years back, I started streaming. If my memory serves correctly. All right. Um, yeah, the last messages are streaming, and I want to give you some screen time before I go. I like giving everyone because it adds to the little time capsule. The one of the other, like I said, it's my hobby doing this, but what I also like is the fact that it creates little time capsules, these streams. As long as the YouTube keeps them up, as long as the internet exists, people can actually go back in time. Imagine going back 100 years and watching some live streams from 100 years back. That would be fascinating stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to add you guys here to the screen so you're part of this little time capsule episode, immortalized, hopefully, in theory. All right. Cool. Yeah, just barely. All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. And God bless. I'll see you next week for another episode. Mooi loop. Tot ziens.